Growing up, I ranked below the family dog in our household hierarchy. When my miracle sister Zoe arrived after several miscarriages, my life became a masterclass in being invisible. My stoic dad cried when they brought her home, while Mom whispered, "Our rainbow after the storm," like she'd won the lottery. School sucked for me. Possible dyslexia, which my parents dismissed as laziness, made it tough. While I struggled with C's and D's, my sister was treated like a child prodigy. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" became their mantra. The favoritism was blatant. I slept in the moldy basement while Zoe got the master bedroom. My used Xbox came with strict time limits, while she got a new MacBook. When I made the softball team, Dad complained about driving me, but they happily drove hours for Zoe's dance competitions. By 14, I was a ghost in my own home. Anything I asked for, they said they couldn't afford it. So I got a job at a sketchy convenience store, worked the register after school, bought my own stuff, and became self-sufficient. While my sister was groomed for an entitled princess life, I was just a tax deduction and babysitter to them. I got used to it, but it hurt deep inside. But then, things got interesting at the house. I started noticing something was off with Zoe. She'd started high school that fall, and something about her had changed faster than my dad's attitude when someone mentions taxes. She was sneaking out, coming home with glassy eyes, smelling like cigarettes and worse. I found a baggie of pills in our shared bathroom, tucked behind the tampons. Genius hiding spot, right? Like either of us would ever voluntarily dig around back there. When I confronted her, she just laughed it off. "Chill, Liv. They're just Adderall. Everyone takes them for tests." But I knew it wasn't just Adderall. I'd seen enough PSAs to recognize Oxy when I saw it. I was 17 then, a senior, counting down the days until graduation, until I could finally escape this hellhole. And Zoe was 16. "Zoe, this stuff is serious. Where are you even getting these?" I asked her. Honestly, she rolled her eyes with that practiced teenage disdain that only teenage girls can truly perfect. "None of your business. Just because your life is boring as a History Channel documentary doesn't mean mine has to be," she'd say. I tried talking to Mom about it one night while she was folding laundry. "I'm worried about Zoe. I think she might be using drugs." Mom didn't even look up from the basket. "Don't be ridiculous, Olivia. Zoe knows better than that." "Mom, I found pills in her stuff." That got her attention. She fixed me with an ice-cold stare that could freeze hell itself. "Were you snooping through your sister's things again? Honestly, Olivia, this jealousy of yours has to stop. Zoe's a good girl. I gave up trying after that. What was the point?" In their eyes, Zoe was a literal angel sent from heaven, and I was the family disappointment who'd probably end up on a true crime podcast someday. Then I started noticing the texts. Constant notifications lit up Zoe's phone at all hours, like a Christmas tree on crack. One night I glanced over while she was texting and saw the contact name, M. Just the letter. Classic move for someone with something to hide. A few times I caught glimpses of him picking her up a block from our house. The dude was way older, 30 at least, with a scruffy beard that looked like something you'd find clogging a shower drain. Tattoos up his arms that screamed, "I make poor life choices," driving a beat-up Camaro that made more noise than a dying whale. So I tried one more time with Zoe, cornering her in our room after I'd seen her climbing back through the window at 2 a.m., like a drunk cat burglar. "That guy is bad news, Zoe. He's way too old for you. He looks like the before picture in a rehab brochure," I said. She smirked, pulling off her boots. "Marcus is different. He actually listens to me. He thinks I'm special." "He's using you," I insisted. "Guys that age don't date high school girls unless there's something seriously wrong with them. It's like a silverback gorilla trying to date a chihuahua. It's just not right." Her face hardened. "You're just jealous because no one wants you. Back off, Olivia. It's not like you're my mom." No, I wasn't. And our actual dad was too busy planning Zoe's Sweet 16 extravaganza to notice his perfect daughter was spiraling harder than a football thrown by a toddler. So, I backed off, started working extra shifts at the pizza place, saving every penny like I was preparing for the apocalypse without even knowing I had a plan. Graduate in June, move out in July, never look back in August. I'd already applied to community colleges 3 hours away. I just needed to hold on a little longer without going full Joker. But life had other plans, because of course it did. I still remember the date, May 10th, 3 weeks before graduation. I was up late, studying for finals, determined to at least graduate with decent grades so I could get the hell out of Dodge. Around 1 a.m., I heard the familiar creak of Zoe's window opening in our shared bedroom. I kept my head down, pretending to be absorbed in my calculus textbook, as she climbed in, giggling. Must be hilarious sneaking back in wasted at 1 a.m., while I'm trying to actually graduate. Nothing screams comedy gold like differential equations and being too drunk to work a window. "Shit," she whispered, fumbling with the window like she was trying to solve a Rubik's Cube with oven mitts on. Something about her movements was off, clumsy, uncoordinated. "You're high," I stated flatly, not looking up. "So what if I am?" She flopped onto her bed, still in her shoes. "Marcus had the good stuff tonight. You should try living a little, Ollie. Your face is always stuck in those books, like they're going to magically teleport you out of here." I ignored her, turning a page in my calculus textbook. 10 minutes later, she was out cold, still fully dressed, snoring like a chainsaw cutting through concrete. And then, I don't know what woke me up. A sound, maybe, or just that sixth sense you develop in a house where you're never quite safe. It was 3:17 a.m., according to my alarm clock. Zoe's bed was empty, the covers thrown back like someone had left in a hurry. Then I heard the voices downstairs, angry, urgent whispers that turned into full-blown shouting. Dad's midnight rage special was being served. Just what I needed at 3 a.m., front row seats to another family meltdown. I crept to my door, cracking it open to catch the latest episode of My Family Screwed Up, playing live downstairs. "Who was that man?" Oh, my father's voice barely contained his rage, like a kindergarten teacher on the last day of school. I tiptoed to the top of the stairs. From there, I could see them in the entryway. Dad in his bathrobe, face redder than a baboon's butt, Mom clutching her robe closed, eyes wide with shock, and Zoe backed against the wall. "I saw him, Zoe! I saw him!" Dad was shaking with fury, a grown man sneaking out of our house in the middle of the night. "What the hell is going on?" Zoe's eyes darted around like a cornered animal looking for escape. Then, inexplicably, they landed on the stairs. On me. Something changed in her expression. A calculation, a decision. She pointed up at me. "Ask Olivia. It's her friend." The silence sucked all the air from the room. 3 pairs of eyes snapped up to me on the stairs. Dad looked ready to explode. Mom's face frozen in shock, and Zoe's eyes had that calculating look. Well, damn. Wasn't planning on being the midnight entertainment, but here we are, totally screwed. "What is she talking about, Olivia?" Mom's voice was dangerously quiet. I started, but Zoe cut me off faster than a discount surgeon removing the wrong kidney. "He's been coming over for months. Marcus, he's like 30 or something. I caught them doing drugs before. I was scared to tell you. My jaw dropped so far, I'm surprised it didn't hit the floor. What the actual hell, Zoe? That's your boyfriend." But it was too late. The seed was planted. Dad stormed up the stairs, grabbing my arms so hard it left finger-shaped bruises that lasted for weeks. "You bring a drug dealer into my house? Around your little sister?" "No, Dad. She's lying. I found these in her drawer," Zoe interrupted, producing a small baggie of pills from her pocket, the same ones I'd confronted her about months ago. "She's been hiding them." Mom was crying now, that fake dramatic nonsense she pulled whenever she needed to make herself the center of attention. Classic Waterworks performance, right on cue. "How could you, after everything we've done for you?" "Yeah, like what, exactly?" The bare minimum parenting trophy was definitely not coming her way. The absurdity of it all, being accused of my sister's crimes in my own home, left me speechless. I looked at Zoe, silently begging her to tell the truth. She looked away, her face a perfect mask of fake innocence that would make Wall Street jealous. "I want you out," Dad said, his voice eerily calm now, like a serial killer selecting his next knife. "I won't have this in my house. Dad, please." I couldn't hold my tears. "Out," he roared, dragging me toward my room. "Pack a bag. You have 5 minutes. And if I ever see that man around here again, I'm calling the police." Numb, I stuffed some clothes into my school backpack while they watched. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip it closed. Mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed, shaking her head in disappointment, like I'd just announced I wanted to be a professional mime. "I always knew you'd break my heart, Olivia. I just never thought you'd do it like this." As Dad marched me to the front door, I caught one last glimpse of Zoe, standing small in the living room entryway. For just a second, I thought I saw regret flash across her face. Then nothing. Zero. Zip. Nada. "Don't come back until you're clean and that criminal is out of your life," Dad spat, shoving me onto the porch like I was radioactive waste. Who does this to his daughter? He didn't even give me a chance to talk. The door slammed behind me with the finality of a coffin lid closing. Just like that, I was erased from the family photo album. The first night was more brutal than those videos where guys get hit in the nuts. May in Pennsylvania still had a chill after dark, and all I had was a thin hoodie. I walked aimlessly until I found the park 2 miles from our house, curled up on a bench using my backpack as a pillow, and didn't sleep that night, only sobbed. In the gray morning light, I took inventory. 3 t-shirts, 1 pair of jeans, underwear, my school ID, $42.78 from my last pizza shift, and my phone with 18% battery, no charger. Not exactly the survival kit Bear Grylls would recommend. My first call was to my boss at the pizza joint, asking if I could pick up extra shifts. Then I swallowed my pride, which tasted like garbage, by the way, and called my dad's brother, Uncle Neil. He lived in a big house in the nice part of town, 4 bedrooms for him, Aunt Patricia, and my cousins, Jake and Tia. Neil had always been nice to me at family gatherings, sneaking me extra dessert and once giving me a $50 Target gift card just because. "Olivia," he sounded surprised to hear from me. "Everything okay?" "No, Uncle Neil, everything's fantastic. I just decided to call you at 7 a.m. for laughs." I took a deep breath and told him what happened, leaving out the drugs, simplifying it to a big misunderstanding and needing a place to stay for a few days. The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. "Did you talk to your dad about this?" he finally asked. "He kicked me out, Uncle Neil, at 3 in the morning. I slept on a park bench last night. A drunk guy peed like 10 feet away from me." More silence. "I don't think we should get involved, Olivia. This sounds like something you need to work out with your parents. I'm sure once everyone cools down." "Please," I whispered, hating how desperate I sounded. "Just for a few days. I'll sleep on the floor, anywhere. I'll even clean your gutters or something." "Ollie, buddy, we've got your grandmother coming next weekend for the twins' confirmation. And honestly, I don't think it would be good for Jake and Tia to be around this situation right now. Your aunt would kill me if I brought this home without discussing it first. In other words, we don't want your bad influence around our perfect children. Can't have the cousins catching your homeless cooties." "I understand," I said, though I didn't. Not really. I couch surfed after that, 2 nights at my friend Kate's, until her mom started asking questions. A week at my pizza place coworker Jane's apartment, sleeping on a futon that smelled like it had been the site of several unsolved mysteries. Through it all, I kept going to school, kept my head down, kept my grades up. 3 weeks until graduation. I could make it without going full Joker and burning everything to the ground. Then Kate's mom called my parents to check in, and that's when I learned they'd been telling people I'd run away with a drug dealer, that I was the problem, not them. Because, of course, they were spinning this nonsense. Total PR campaign, our poor family devastated by our daughter's bad choices. Convenient narrative that made them the victims instead of the jerks who kicked their kid to the curb at 3 a.m. Real stand-up parenting there. Uncle Neil called once, awkwardly. "Your dad says you're involved with some older criminal, that there were drugs." "None of that is true," I said flatly. "Well, these things don't come from nowhere, Olivia. Your parents are worried sick," he said. "Are they looking for me? Filing missing person reports? Checking hospitals?" A pause longer than the DMV line on a Saturday. "They think you need to come home when you're ready to follow their rules." I laughed, a bitter sound that probably made me sound like a villain in a Batman movie. "Goodbye, Uncle Neil." I hung up and blocked his number faster than politicians block constituents on Twitter. My history teacher was the one who saved me. He found me asleep in the library during lunch period, my head on an open textbook, probably drooling on the Spanish-American War. "Olivia," he gently shook my shoulder. "Are you okay?" I wasn't. I broke down, telling him everything. He listened without interrupting. "You've been homeless for 2 weeks and still coming to school?" he asked when I finished. I shrugged. "Graduation's in 9 days. I've eaten nothing but pizza crusts and vending machine snacks. But I'm not missing the finish line." That night, he took me to his modest 2-bedroom house. "The basement apartment isn't much," he said, showing me a small room with concrete walls, a twin bed, and a mini fridge, "but it's yours if you want it. $200 a month, utilities included. My wife and I never had kids, so we've got the space." I cried again, from relief this time. Not my proudest moment. But when someone throws you a life preserver when you're drowning, you don't worry about looking cool. After graduation, which none of my family attended, big shock, I worked full-time at the pizza place. I got my GED since I'd missed too many finals to officially graduate. I applied for every scholarship I could find, wrote essays during my breaks, and interviewed for grants over the phone during my lunch hour, like I was hosting some desperate one-woman QVC show selling my future to whoever would buy it. All the while, I waited for someone, anyone, from my family to look for me, for my dad to file a missing persons report, for my mom to call the school, for Uncle Neil to check if I was alive or decomposing in a ditch somewhere. Nothing. Complete silence. Crickets would have been louder. I found out later through Tia that my parents told everyone I'd received a full scholarship to an elite nursing program at Johns Hopkins, one of those prestigious accelerated programs that includes a study abroad component in Sweden. A convenient lie to explain my absence. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd spent years telling me I wasn't smart enough, wasn't special enough, and suddenly I was their brilliant daughter pursuing her dreams of saving lives and wearing a fancy white coat. What a joke. I legally changed my name from Olivia Morgan to Olivia Reed a year later, partly for the fresh start, partly because I was afraid of them finding me. someday and dragging me back to that house where I'd never belonged, like going back to a prison after you've made your Shawshank escape. 7 years passed. I worked my way through community college, transferred to a state university, graduated with a degree in accounting, and found a job at a small firm in Philadelphia, 3 hours and a lifetime away from my hometown. I adopted a 3-legged pit bull from the shelter and named him Chance because we both got a second one. I built a life, not a perfect one, but one that was mine, one where I mattered more than the gum on someone's shoe. Then came the message that ripped open all the old wounds like a dollar store bandage. Mom's not doing well. She keeps asking about you. I think you owe them that much. That was definitely Zoe. After 7 years of silence, the audacity of this nonsense. I stared at it for hours, feeling nothing but a dull ache where rage used to live. I didn't respond. A week later, you don't have to talk to them, but can you talk to me, please? Against my better judgment, I replied with 4 words. What do you want, Zoe? I blocked her number. Didn't need that toxic nonsense back in my life. I'd spent years in therapy working through the abandonment issues, the trust issues, the whole package deal that comes with being thrown away by your family at 17. But then something even weirder happened. I got a message request from someone I didn't know, a guy named Marcus Reeves. The profile picture showed a thin man with a patchy beard and hollow eyes. My stomach twisted when I opened it. You don't know me, but I dated your sister Zoe when she was 14 and I was 36. I know how messed up that sounds. I've been sober 3 years now, and I'm making amends for the damage I caused. What happened to you has haunted me for years. My hands shook as I typed back, prove you're who you say you are, because this is the internet, and for all I knew, this could be some Nigerian prince wanting my bank details. The response came quickly. Screenshots of old text messages between him and Zoe, selfies of them together in his car in what looked like a cheap motel room that probably charged by the hour, details about their relationship that no stranger could know. I was the guy your dad saw leaving that night. Zoe panicked and blamed you. She said her parents would kill her if they found out about us, but they'd believe anything bad about you. I was high and scared of getting arrested for being with a minor, so I went along with it. We kept seeing each other for almost a year after you left. He explained how he'd eventually been arrested for dealing, how prison and getting clean had forced him to face the things he'd done. He'd found me through an old yearbook photo Zoe had shown him. I know this doesn't fix anything, but you should know you didn't deserve what happened. It was me. I was the piece of garbage adult who should have known better, and Zoe was the one who threw you under the bus to save herself. I sat in my apartment, staring at my phone until the screen went dark. 7 years of my life, my family, my home, my identity, all gone because my sister needed a scapegoat that night. I didn't respond to him, didn't even thank him for coming clean. What was the point? The damage was done, but now I had what I'd never expected to get. Proof, actual proof that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't the bad guy in this story. After 3 days of sitting on this bomb, I made my decision. Time to go nuclear. I forwarded Marcus's messages to my parents and Uncle Neil with no comment, just the raw evidence of what had really happened that night. Then I blocked all their numbers and took a mental health day from work. Chance and I drove to a state park, hiked until my legs burned, and sat by a lake far from cell service while the bomb I dropped detonated behind us. I didn't care about their reactions, didn't want to hear their excuses or apologies. But truth has a way of spreading, especially in small towns. About a week later, I got a text from Kate's younger sister, Maya, who still lived in our hometown. Holy crap, Liv. The truth about what happened with you and Zoe is all over town. Your dad had some kind of breakdown at church when the pastor asked about you. Your mom isn't showing her face anywhere. And Zoe, she's basically a pariah now. I didn't ask for details, didn't want them, but Maya kept me updated anyway. Word had spread through their church community, their friends, the small town where everyone had believed a lie about my nursing scholarship. Zoe's high school friends, now in their mid-20s with careers and families, turned on her completely. Her roommate kicked her out after hearing what she'd done to her sister. Within a month, Zoe was living in her car, ghosted by nearly everyone. The boutique where she worked as an assistant manager had to let her go after multiple customers complained about having her help them. Turns out people don't want to buy overpriced scented candles from someone who framed their sister for a drug offense. It's karma, I texted back to Maya once, immediately regretting giving any response at all, not because it wasn't true, but because engaging at all felt like I was being pulled back into their orbit. I didn't want any connection to that life, even through gossip. Maya told me Zoe hit rock bottom 3 months after the truth came out. Her car got repossessed while she was sleeping in it. She spent 2 nights on the street before Maya spotted her at a gas station and, being a better person than any of my family members, took her in temporarily, not out of forgiveness, but basic human decency. Zoe's staying with me, Maya texted. Thought you should know. She's a mess, but I couldn't just leave her on the street, unlike some people we know. She keeps saying she wants to apologize to you, but I told her to back off. Meanwhile, according to Maya, my parents left frantic voicemails before I blocked them. Uncle Neil sent a pathetic message. I should have helped you back then. I'm sorry I believed them. Too little, 7 years too late to be exact. I deleted everything from Maya without responding further. Some debts can never be repaid, no matter how many I'm sorry texts you send, and some relationships are better left dead and buried. I didn't want reconciliation, didn't want to hear Zoe's sobbing excuses or parents' justifications. The truth was out. That was enough for me to focus on myself and move on. But nearly a year later, what was most telling about my former family was not a single genuine attempt to reconcile, no heartfelt apology letter, no efforts to track me down. After sending that bomb of truth their way, I'd expected something, at least a desperate attempt to explain themselves. Instead, radio silence. They clearly hadn't cared enough to swallow their pride and admit they'd completely messed up, until of course, they needed something. The email from my mother came out of nowhere, sent to the work address listed on my LinkedIn profile. Olivia, I know we have a lot to work through, but your father is very ill. The doctors found stage 4 pancreatic cancer last month. It's advanced quickly. He may only have weeks left. He's asking for you. Please find it in your heart to come see him one last time. Mom, no apology, no acknowledgement of what they'd done, just the expectation that I'd come running because blood is blood. Like being biologically related means you get unlimited be a complete jerk passes. I didn't respond, didn't even make a draft, just let it sit there like that weird container in the back of the fridge that everyone's afraid to open. 3 days later, another email arrived. Olivia, I don't think you understand the seriousness of the situation. Your father could be gone any day now. I know you're still angry about what happened, but holding on to resentment isn't healthy. We didn't know Zoe was lying. We were trying to protect our family. Please don't punish your father by denying him the chance to see you one last time. Mom. There it was. The classic family manipulation playbook, page 1. They weren't wrong. They were deceived. They weren't cruel. They were protective. And my refusal to play along wasn't a reasonable boundary. It was punishment. They could teach a masterclass in gaslighting. I drafted a dozen responses, from coldly polite to scathingly furious, then deleted them all. What was the point? There was no combination of words that would make Rebecca understand what they'd done to me. It was Zoe who finally broke through, not with a plea or a guilt trip, but with honesty. Dad's really sick, she texted. It's bad. Mom says they're going to lose the house because of medical bills. She keeps saying if you would just get over it and help out, they wouldn't be in this mess. I know you don't owe them anything. I just thought you should know what they're really after. Then a follow-up, she asked if I knew your salary. Dad's in the hospital, doped up on morphine, and she's asking about your $401k. Just so you know exactly who they still are. I wasn't surprised. Of course, this wasn't about reconciliation or regret. It was about utility, what I could do for them, not who I was to them. It had always been that way. I was the family ATM they'd forgotten the PIN to, and now they were desperately trying different combinations. The next day, a formal-looking envelope arrived at my apartment, addressed in my mother's distinctive handwriting. Inside was a letter on cream stationery, my father's shaky signature at the bottom. Olivia, I understand you're still harboring ill feelings about the past, but as I face the end of my life, I've been reflecting on what matters most, family. I know we weren't perfect parents, but we gave you everything we could. Food, shelter, education, all the necessities. We're in a difficult position now, with these medical expenses mounting. Your mother will be left with significant debt after I'm gone. As my daughter, I'm asking you to help shoulder this burden. It would bring me peace in my final days to know your mother will be taken care of. Your father, Daniel. No, I'm sorry for throwing you out at 17. No, I'm sorry for believing Zoe over you. No, I'm sorry for never looking for you. Just entitlement dressed up as fatherly concern, like putting a bow tie on a turd and calling it formal wear. That night, I composed a brief email while drinking coffee and watching Chance chase his tail. I will not be visiting or providing financial assistance. I learned to survive without parents at 17. I'm sure you'll figure it out too. Olivia Reed. I sent it, then blocked the email address faster than an ex on social media after a bad breakup. 2 days later, Uncle Neil showed up at my apartment like a door-to-door salesman nobody asked for. I hadn't given him my address, which meant he'd gone to significant effort to find me. I would have been impressed if I wasn't so pissed. You shouldn't be here, I said, not inviting him in. Chance growled softly behind me, good girl sensing bad vibes. Olivia, please, your father is dying. I know. Mom made that very clear in her fundraising pitch. What's she doing, setting up a GoFundMe? Help save a jerk who threw his daughter out? He winced. It's not like that. They just Did you know they kicked me out at 3 a.m., that I slept on a park bench that first night, that I called you begging for help, and you turned me away because, God forbid, your perfect kids might learn that life isn't always fair? He looked embarrassed. I thought they were telling the truth. I thought you were mixed up with drugs and that older man. And you never once questioned why they didn't file a missing persons report, why they told everyone I was at some fictional nursing program abroad, why no one had heard from me in 7 years. You should have. I know that now. He ran a hand through his graying hair. But your dad is still your dad, Liv. Whatever his mistakes, I laughed, a hollow sound that made Chance tilt her head in confusion. Number 1, a dad protects his kid. A dad gives his kid the benefit of the doubt. A dad looks for his kid when she goes missing. Daniel did none of those things. He's just a man who contributed DNA, a sperm donor with a mortgage. He's asking for you. He's asking for my money, I corrected, and the answer is no. I don't know if you've noticed, but dying doesn't automatically make someone a good person. Hitler died too, but we don't send him birthday cards. I closed the door gently, but firmly in his face, resisting the urge to slam it like a teenager. Chance patted over and licked my hand, a better family member than any of my blood relatives had ever been. The next day I got a text from an unknown number, Zoe, using a friend's phone. Dad died an hour ago. Thought you should know. I stared at the message for a long time, waiting for grief or guilt or something to hit me. All I felt was a strange, quiet relief, like the final thread connecting me to my old life had been severed. I was finally free. I didn't attend the funeral, didn't send flowers, didn't call my mother, didn't share any sappy Rip Dad posts on social media. I ordered pizza, watched a movie, and took Chance for an extra long walk. Just a normal day, because that's all his death meant to me, nothing special. 3 weeks later, I got a letter from a law firm representing my mother, demanding I contribute to my father's outstanding medical bills as his surviving heir. I forwarded it to my company's legal department, who sent back a tersely worded response that basically translated to "go away, or we'll bury you in restraining orders faster than you can say estranged." The last I heard about my former family came 6 months later through a text from Maya. My mother had been forced to sell the house and move into a small apartment, where she complained constantly about the neighbors' cooking smells. Zoe had moved to Pittsburgh, working double shifts at a casino, dealing cards to drunk businessmen who hit on her while losing their paychecks. Neither was doing particularly well, but they were surviving, just like I had at 17, with nothing but a backpack and the determination to prove them all wrong. I deleted the message without responding and took Chance for a walk. Some families aren't worth fixing, some bridges should stay burned, some debts can never be repaid. I've got my own life now. A good job, a cool apartment, an awesome 3-legged dog that's more loyal than my entire bloodline put together, and a partner who actually cares about me. I've made my own family of people who choose to love me, not people who are obligated by DNA. And honestly, the ultimate revenge isn't setting fire to their lives, though watching karma do that was pretty satisfying. The ultimate power move is walking away and never looking back. Building a life so good they can see what they missed out on, but never letting them be part of it. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well and letting others rot in the mess they created. And if there's a lesson in all this mess, family isn't about blood. It's about who gives a damn when you're sleeping on a park bench. Remember that before you throw someone away, because some people, when you throw them away, don't come crawling back. We just keep walking.